Hey guys, back with another video, and today we are going over all the lightweight options that Arken Optics offers in a scope. So after Arken created their EP and SH series of scopes, which I've already reviewed, they then created the EPL, which is a lightweight version of the EP, and then they made a completely new version, which is the LH, stands for Lightweight Hunter Optic. Okay, so I've got all the models here, the EPL, the LH versions, and I'm going to talk about what features they have compared to Arken's regular line, if it's worth it for you, and the pros and cons of everything, and then the different features that you'll find in these that you won't find in Arken's regular lines. Now, a quick disclaimer, right? Arken did send me this 6-24 scope when they initially came out. I said, hey, that's really cool, because I've been saying, dude, your scopes are really heavy. Are you coming out with anything lighter? And when they did, I was like, hey, can I get one of those? So they sent this one out for testing, and then this was the original VH, I think it was the VHR reticle, which is just kind of like a mill quad type reticle. And they sent me that one. I then ended up buying two other of the lightweight versions, an EPL is 624 here with the VPR reticle, and then the LH-4-16 with the VPR reticle as well. So yes, they did send me one of these. This is the only scope they've ever sent me. I own probably about 6 scopes now. 5 of them I bought from Arken, but that is a full disclosure, right? They're not sponsoring me or anything like that, and I'm going to give a very honest review of all these optics now. Okay, so the initial scope that they came out with was the EPL-4, and this was a lightweight version. The L stands for Lightweight EP Series. So they had the EP line out already. These are the lightweight versions of it. So you still have the great glass that you get in the EP versions, and you have a dialable turret up here. So on the EPL-4s, you'll notice their windage turret is capped, and I actually like that a lot, because I don't ever dial for wind. So that keeps it from getting knocked around. I'll keep that. I actually like that feature, and I prefer that on most of my scopes. But if you notice, the elevation turret is like the normal Arken turret. This turret, the windage turret, is not. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit smaller, and you can tell that it's a different turret. Now, what I do like about this, and I'll talk about different features, is the toolless slipping of that turret. So you don't need tools to slip that turret. They had originally sent me this one, and it came with a VHR reticle, which I'm not a huge fan of. And I'll show you what it looks like right here. But to me, I wanted their VPR reticle. I wanted a lightweight version that I could throw on like an SPR or like an AR-10, like I have here, without it weighing a shit ton. Because their other optics are really great, but they're weighing upwards of 40 ounces. These are coming in anywhere around from 22 to 23 ounces. So these are a lot lighter, and you can noticeably feel, okay, these are a lot lighter when they came in. Now, why are they lighter? They have all 30mm tubes, even on the EPL and the LH versions. They're all 30mm tubes, so they're able to save some weight there. Now, where you start to see the little differences between this and say the SH or the EP versions. Those are all 34mm tubes, and they offer a lot more dialable elevation. Dialable elevation on these is about 20 mils. Okay, so you have 20 mils of elevation you can dial. With the LH, with this 4-16, you have 17 mils. Now compare that to the EP5. That you're looking at 32 mils of elevation. This has almost half of the dialable elevation that the EP5 does. But there's a reason for that, right? These are designed for hunters. Hunters are not going to be dialing as much and needing as much dialable elevation than, say, a recreational shooter who's dialing 10 to 15 mils, shooting at 1,000 or past that. So there are big differences, and mainly because of who these scopes are designed for and what kind of platforms they're designed for. So let's talk about the main differences between the EPLs and the LH series, okay? So the EPL, you're gonna see, is basically very similar to the EP versions, except for that windage turret that is now a smaller and capped turret, right? The LH versions, these are the lightweight hunters. So the LH also has capped turrets, both windage and elevation. You can see here, they're both capped. Now, you'll see on the LH that these turrets are the different smaller ones. That's the elevation. Let's check out windage. So both windage and elevation now are these smaller, more stubby turrets. The clicks are not exactly as robust or feel as tactile as these. I mean, you can hear the difference, right? That's the EPL, this is the LH. Besides that, they all have the same features that you're used to in an Arken Optics. So we talked about the differences of these. Let's talk about now pros and cons of both models. So they're both very similar glass-wise. The EPL series is supposed to have better glass, supposed to be like Japanese glass. I wasn't able to really, again, I can't really tell the difference between the glass on these two because they're both very good. With the LH version, I actually get better eye relief than I do with the more expensive EPL. But both glass looks good. Very clear, crisp. I've never had an issue with any Arken Optics. Some people have made comments that, oh, my glass is like fuzzy. I'm like, that's not good. Send it back and use their warranty. I was very interested in these different turrets and I wanted to see, okay, are these different types of turrets now going to track as well as the touted Arken reliable and very accurate tracking? So what I did was I mounted all of these scopes onto my Tika. I did tracking tests, testing windage and also elevation. Now it wasn't crazy. I went up a couple mils, went over to the right a couple mils, and came back. And I would see how accurate that really was. And I was actually kind of surprised. So I compared all of these to the Control, which is the EP5. That is like my go-to scope. Like if I'm shooting a competition, I'm using that scope. And that thing was dead on. Watch this. Now just for comparison, I have the EP5, which is like my go-to scope. And I did a windage test here. We started off shot number 1 here, okay? Brought over 1 mil, shot here, 2. Brought over 1 mil, shot 3. 1 mil, shot 4, right in that, literally inside that black dot. Dialed it back 3 mils, 1, 2, 3, shot 5 right there. Those track really friggin' well. And same thing with the elevation. I mean, I came down, it came all the way back up. And you'll see up on top, that's shot 1 and 4. So I started off at the 1, dialed down 2 mils, each taking a shot each time, came all the way back up, and it was, I mean, both these shots are touching this black little dot that I made. So I'm happy with that. Right, the EP5, those things track. Those are pretty damn good. So here we're using the EPL-4, and we're just testing tracking on the elevation. Right? So what I did was, after I had zeroed, I took a first shot. Now we're up here, and I had lines 1 mil, I measured 1 mil apart. So my aim point was this dot, first shot was this top shot right here, so right here. I dialed down 1 mil, still aiming at this point here. Number 2 shot was right, number 2 shot is right here. Dialed down 1 more mil, 3 is right here. So that's pretty damn good, right? It started off high because the 0 was slightly off. So each time it's high, but it's the exact same, almost the exact same height over that line. Okay, dial down another mil, shot 4 here. Then I dial all the way back, dial 4 mils back up, 5th shot here, right below that first shot. It's tracking. So after that, then I used the windage. Took the cap off, and now we were going for side to side. Okay. So the 6-24, this is the EPL, and we started off right here. Okay, aiming at this point is a shot right above it. That was shot number 1. So I dialed right 1 mil, boom. Shot right here, my God, that's pretty damn good. Okay, dialed another mil, still holding here. Number 3 impacts here. So now we're a bit short of that 3 mil line. Then I dial another mil, and the 4th round impacts here. So it should be impacting here, and it's not. It's short. So I don't know what happened, but from dialing 2 mils to 3 mils, there was some kind of error, right? Because now we're short. Now we're short. So I automatically right away saw that there was some error in that windage. So then I dialed back 4 mils to the left, and still aiming here, took a shot, it impacted here. This is the 5th shot. So you can see now we have an error here. We have there's a difference between that. The fifth bullet should have impacted pretty damn close to that number 1. It's off to the side because there was an error imparted at that 3 mil, which then carried over to here, which then carried over to here. Now let's take a look and see how the LH-4 did. Okay, this is the lightweight one. So now this had both elevation and windage were these different turrets. I'm like, oh man, this is probably not going to go well. Okay, so with the LH-4 elevation, we start here, dead center impact. I'm like, okay, cool. Dial down. I was actually running out of rounds here, so what I did was I just dialed down 2 mils. It actually hit the 2 mil line right there. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. And then I dialed back up 1, 2 mils, and it's basically on the line here. It's breaking the line. So elevation tracking on this guy, the LH-4, was dead on. I was okay, cool, that works. So then we went to windage, right? So using the bottom of this line, this little dot here was my aim point. Shot the first round, okay, right there, cool. Dialed right, 1 mil, took a shot right here. Okay, so that's, we started off a little bit left of the point of aim. That's exactly where, 1 mil would be to the right. Dial another mil to the right, impacted right here. I'm like, okay, that's working. Then I dialed back 2 mils, 1, 2, and the impact was right here, 4. So windage-wise, that's almost perfect. Almost perfect tracking. So I was pretty impressed because this is the cheapest scope that Arken offers. And I was like, wow, that tracks better than even the more expensive one. All right, so let's talk pros and cons of these optics. Why would you get these instead of, say, the EP5 or the SH versions? So these scopes here are just under about half the weight of the other lines like the EP5s or the SH versions. These are weighing in around 22 to 24 ounces, whereas those ones you're looking at 36 to 39 ounces. The new EP5s, the 7 to 35s, I think they're coming in at over 40 ounces, which is, that's heavy. Now let's talk about the toolless turrets here. This is a huge pro, I think. While these are not, again, while I tested these out for tracking, and I did find some issues with the EPL, just on the windage. Not a big deal because I don't really dial at all for windage. But if I need to zero out this scope, so say I've dialed, I'm like, okay, so I'm off here, and this is where I'm zeroed. I'm zeroed right here. Okay, cool. All I have to do now is on top of here, I just unscrew this part, and you can use your hands. This comes off, okay. All I do is I pick it up. I set that to 0. See if I can get this on camera. So the 0 will be coming down. I'm going to line up with that dot. So there we go. Okay. Now you just put this back on top, and you tighten that down. Now it's zeroed. Cool, very easy when slipping turrets like that. You don't have to use any tools. I like that, that's a very cool feature. Another pro with these scopes is very good tracking. Despite the anomaly we had with this EPL-4, not tracking properly and then fixing itself and coming back, both elevation and windage on this guy was very good, the LH, this is the cheapest one. I got this for $199 on one of their sales. So like, that's pretty crazy for the price. For the price that you're going to be getting this scope for, to have that kind of tracking, first focal plane with a reticle inside the scope like that at the weight that it's at is pretty remarkable. And I think it's an awesome setup for like a SPR style gun or a hunting rifle. And like we said, both of these scopes, both lines come with the VPR reticle. So to me, that is a huge plus because that's what I'm looking for in a scope. They have the VHR, which if you're just hunting, okay, not a huge deal, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to get the VPR regardless. It's just a great reticle, very clean, not too busy, and you still have that Christmas tree style reticle, right? So these are all first focal plane. The EPL does have Japanese glass, but I have not noticed any difference between the EPL and the LH versions. They both, looking through it, very, very similar. Let's talk about one of the biggest pros is the price. So these things are ridiculously low priced. This little guy right here, the LH, I got for $199. I think you can get them right now with sales for $250, which is freaking wild for what this is. Scopes have come so far. You can get a lot of scope for your money with Arken, which is, I like. The EPL versions, you are looking at $329, so anywhere between $329 and I think $350 right now with all their sales. Again, $300 in the $300 range for a decent lightweight scope. That's pretty freaking cool. So what did I not like about these scopes? It's not all rainbows and sunshine, right? You are giving up something when you go this lightweight. Now, for me, you're looking at 30mm tubes. I use mostly 34mm mounts, so I had to find, like I had a Warren mount here. I bought some Arken, their lightweight mount, scope mounts, which worked well, but I didn't have a lot of that on hand because I'm used to, most of my scopes are 34mm. So that could be an issue there. Also, with the 30mm tube, you're looking at less dialable elevation. So if you do plan on like using this for a dedicated precision gun that you're dialing out and you're shooting past, 1,000 and past, this is probably not the best bet for you. You're just not going to have the dialable elevation to get out that far. Now you could use a 20 MOA scope mount and you could probably get out to about 1,000, realistically, depending on caliber, barrel length, all that stuff, right? But you're not going to have as much to play with as you would with, say, one of their 34mm scopes. Another thing I didn't like with the EPL specifically was the windage and how there was a weird error in that when I was going from pushing over right, it would go 1 mil, 1 mil, 0.5 mil, and then 1.5 mil, and then it would correct itself, but that's very strange. I still don't know what's up with that, and I don't know, different kind of turret, different tracking, not sure. Maybe it has to be broken in, but did not like that part. And I want to make a note that that did not happen with the LH version, the cheaper version, so I'm not sure what's going on. Another con, which is not a con on Arken, the 4-16, it's just, for me, being able to zero this, you need more magnification. I want something with a minimum magnification of at least like max power of 20. 16 is just, it's kind of not a lot. If you're hunting, not a big deal, right? Most of my shots that I take, even when I'm shooting out to 1,000, I'm at probably 12 to 15 power. So you don't need tons of magnification, but it is helpful when you're zeroing for sure. So to finish up this video, who do I think these scopes are for? They are for hunters, right? These are obviously ideal for hunters. It's a lightweight option. You don't need that much elevation to be dialing. These are made for, and Arken says they're made for hunters. Now, they started realizing that people wanted a lighter weight option with that VPR reticle, so they made the EPL-4 and they put the VPR reticles into these scopes because, hey, this is not bad on a gas gun that you are shooting out to maybe 600 to 800 yards and you don't need a crazy amount of elevation to dial. Maybe you're just using that reticle to hold and you're shooting without dialing at all. That would be kind of ideal, right? This AR-10 is right now set up with this on top. No issues. I was having a lot of fun shooting this out pretty far. So for sure, the LH models, straight up hunters, you're gonna love this, right? This is an awesome option. Now, the EPL, this, like I said, hunters, plus you can get into a lightweight precision build if that's what you're going for. Because it does have a little bit extra, it has like 3 more mils of elevation. So, plus it has that better turret on top for dialing. So if you're gonna be looking at a lightweight precision setup, the EPL is probably what you're going to want to go for over the LH. Now you can throw the LH on top of a rifle like this, and now you have a very lightweight, very capable package, and you're not really getting weighed down by one of those heavier optics. It's very streamlined. There's not big turrets, so you can pack this in and out, and it's not going to be a very bulky or heavy setup. So at the end of the video, do I recommend these scopes? Yes, I do. I think it is a great addition to Arken Optics line. They had some really good scopes and they came out and they keep innovating with newer and newer stuff. So overall, I think Arken really hit it out of the park with these great lightweight options for the dudes who love Arken stuff, but just a little bit heavy for them. This is a great option.